Now finally, the moment you have all been waiting for. How does grading affect the value of your cards? We'll consider the grading of modern cards and vintage cards, and the importance of making the decision to grade or not to grade your cards. And to start, I think there's a really important distinction to make here. Are you a collector or are you an investor? Maybe somewhere in between. If you're just a collector who has a card that you love and you want to have it in a PSA or an SGC or a BGS slab, then it's sort of straightforward, right? Just send it, and if it's not too much money, go ahead and do it. For me, I had a 1999 holographic Charizard that I pulled when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and it was beat to shreds, and I just wanted to have it in a PSA slab, and that's easy, straightforward, right? If you're a collector, you have a card that you want to have in a slab, send it in. My Charizard somehow got a PSA 4. I thought it was pretty beat. When it comes to investors, I think it's a little bit more nuanced here, right? We'll talk about some of the ultra-modern cards first. If you have an ultra-modern card and you're probably going to grade with PSA or BGS, you're gonna want a 9 or a 10 in most cases. Most cases, anything lower than that might actually decrease the value of the card. And we'll talk about this more later, but that's why it's important to really look at your cards and make sure that they are worth grading and that everything about the condition is going to get you the grade that you want. When it comes to vintage cards, the grading can sometimes be a little bit less important. For example, the most valuable card in the history of sports cards ever sold was a Honus Wagner SGC 3. A 3 is not the highest grade ever. And sometimes if you have a card that's really beat up, if it is a high value card and it's an old card, people just want to know that it's authentic, the card hasn't been altered in any way. Sometimes that's worth it no matter the grade. A good example of that is the Honus Wagner card. I'm a soccer collector, so if you have a 1958 Pele card, you're probably going to want to slab it no matter what. You're probably going to want to grade it no matter what. If you have a Maradona rookie card, you're probably going to want to grade it no matter what. And there are other examples of that too. When it comes to should you grade your card or shouldn't you grade your card, if you're an investor, the question you should always be asking yourself is actually kind of simple. The question is the cost of grading more or less than the value being added to my card? So if you have a card that's worth $1,000 and it costs $100 to grade, you better make sure that that card's gonna be worth at least $1,100 when it's graded. It's kind of straightforward if you think about it that way, but where it gets difficult is when you're trying to guess the grade of a card. So maybe you have a card that's worth $150 raw. In a PSA 9, that card might be worth $200, and in a PSA 10, it might be worth $600. This is where it gets a little bit trickier. You wanna make sure you have a really good eye for this stuff, and you can't miss too often. If you're paying $100 to grade the card, and it comes back a 9, and you sell it for $200, as opposed to just selling it for $150 raw, that's an instance where you probably lost $50 of value. But if you can get those 10s with a decent rate, all of a sudden you're gonna start making your money back. Now you don't have to hit every single time, but you wanna make sure that your hit rate, or your gem rate as people in the hobby call it, is high enough that you're making your money back or doing better. If you have any questions about anything we covered, comment below. We'd love to know and answer those questions. And be sure to subscribe now and stay tuned for more awesome hobby content. Most of all, happy collecting.